I've been meaning to do this video for quite a while. This is my the top 10 things I wish I'd known video of stuff I wish I'd known when I first started out in large format. Now, I'm not going to talk about bellows factors or how to use movements or loading film holders. Those are all technical details, technical skills that everyone talks about. I want to talk about what I call the proverbs of photography. These are more general concepts or practices, the underlying philosophy of large format, hints and hacks, things that would have made things a lot easier if I had known about them when I first started. So we did this in a top 10 format, but don't take the order too seriously. Frankly, they're all roughly about equal. Besides, what we consider number 7, you might think is number 3, so what? Now, in the original version of this, I expounded on each term, and it got rather long and it wasn't all that exciting. So we've cut it back, and the plan is I'm going to go through the list quickly, give you about a 30-second commentary on each of the items. And if something really piques your interest, then let us know about it. Maybe we can address it in a future video. We're also going to upload some of the original notes and more information about this list on our blog, so you can go read about it there. Now, hopefully, this is going to be more useful than watching videos of cats. Maybe not as entertaining, but like I said, hopefully more useful. Now, standard disclaimers apply. Your mileage will vary. Your opinion, experience could be different. And I want to emphasize that I'm going to speak about broad general concepts, and it's intended for an audience that's just getting started in large format. So try not to get too tied up or too excited about minor details that are nothing more than trivial differences of opinion. So anyway, here we go. Number 10, what camera you use doesn't really matter. This could be a long topic, but great photos have been taken with some really cheap cameras, and I've known guys with really expensive cameras that can't take a decent picture. Okay, number 9. You've already been told that it's the lens that really matters. Well, that's sort of true. Again, a lot of great pictures have been taken, with $50, $100 lenses. Don't get wrapped up in finding the most expensive lens. Now, one that surprised me when I first started, number 8, is shutters are not very accurate. I was really dismayed at just how inaccurate they are, and you really need to do some testing. Number 7, and this is if any of these are the most important, this is the most important. Number 7, write everything down. Seriously, get a notebook. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but get a notebook and write everything down. You can't fix something if you don't know what you did wrong. You can't repeat it if you don't know what you did right. Number 6, get a solid tripod. That tripod you used for 35 millimeter is not going to cut it in large format. You need something solid. Doesn't have to be a $600 carbon fiber job, but you need a solid tripod. Number 5, pick a film and stick with it. It's too easy for people to bounce around from one film to another, trying to fix or trying to get that great photo that they just can't seem to get. Well, it's not the film's fault. I'm sorry. Okay, so pick a film, stick with it. On the topic of film, number 5, box speed. Oh wait, that's number 4. Sorry. Box speed is almost ridiculously over-optimistic. And I don't know that many serious photographers are going to argue with this. You usually have to shoot the film at about half of what the manufacturer tells you you're going to shoot it at to get decent shadow detail. Number 3, most processing recipes that you see on the internet are not much better than wild guesses. Now that may sound a bit harsh, but take a look. You'll find one guy telling you to develop the same film in the same developer for 6 minutes. Somebody else will tell you to develop it in the same film, same developer for 9 minutes. So there's got to be something wrong here. Number 2, get a meter, but learn how to estimate your exposures without it. Now this is a whole nother subject, but just to point this out, one of Ansel Adams' most famous pictures, I believe it's the moonrise over Hernandez, something like that. He couldn't find his meter. Fortunately, he knew how to estimate the exposure, and he nailed it. Okay, number 1, great photos don't happen in a 60th of a second. Now that may seem obvious, but what I'm really talking about is not everything that happens before you click the shutter, but everything that happens afterwards. There's actually 4 exposures that you need to think about. What happens in the camera, what happens in the darkroom when you develop the film, what happens in the enlarger when you expose the print, and what happens when you develop that print. All of those have to be taken into consideration. So that's my top 10 things I wish I'd known when I'd started. And I'm going to give you an extra one for free. I want to add this one on. In fact, this is probably the best advice I can give you, and it applies to a lot of areas of life. And I would have avoided a lot of mistakes if I had taken my own advice. And it's really basic. Practice, practice, practice. Practice loading your film holders, practice loading them into the camera, practice loading your SP445 film tank, of course. But don't stop there. You know, military snipers, when they're being trained, they will dry fire hundreds or thousands of times before they start shooting live ammo. And we should do the same thing. So go ahead, set up your tripod and practice dry firing at whatever stuff you've got in the backyard or your living room or whatever without any film. You know, after you've clicked the shutter, go back and double check everything. Did you reset the aperture properly? Did you get the right shutter speed? You know, take another meter reading. Were you right the first time? You know, recheck the focus and composition. Are you still happy with it? You might feel a little bit silly doing it, but you'll feel a lot sillier if you miss a great shot because you were trying to figure things out in the field as the weather was changing and the light was fading. So practice now. Now again, this may not have been as entertaining as watching videos of cats, but hopefully it will be more useful. If you have something that you can add to the conversation, your comments and questions would be appreciated.